everybody, to Track Life. I'm your host, Nate Albaugh, longtime Illinois high school football coach, now the head coach at Hayworth High School and the athletic director there, alongside an old foe from Peoria, Notre Dame, Matt Garnett. And Matt and I coached against each other for a 5-year period, and we had a few wars in that time, Coach.
Oh, definitely. There was some really good games. I remember one year, I think it was, I think we thought we took out your kicker early in the game, and he came back to kick the winning field goal to end it, I think.
I remember that. And I remember how mad you guys were. And I remember how mad you were. And I'm like, what are they mad at? And so I was oblivious to him being hurt the whole time. Oblivious. I'm like, get Shalafu ready. So anyway, we had a war. That game actually was 34-19 us going into the fourth quarter. And the game ended 51-49 or something like that. It was the wildest fourth quarter of my life. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, that was a game.
Well,
there was a couple other really close ones. It feels like we always get in some shootouts with you guys.
We did. On our best year, you guys got us by 2. I think your quarterback intercepted a pass of ours from about 4 feet from our quarterback. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember that. You guys were looking like you had all the momentum going down and probably were going to score, and he ends up picking that ball off and ending the game.
Well, to give you guys some background, Coach and I coached against each other for 5 years. I was at Champaign Central. These are pretty decent sized high schools in Illinois for all you guys out there. Schools of about 1,000. Coaches is a little smaller, but in Illinois, if yours is private, you get what's called the multiplier. So it puts them up there in the class with us at around 5A out of 8 classes, a larger school, and one of the larger schools in Illinois that's been a true wing T team. And they are, I would tell you firsthand, a nightmare to defend. And Coach Garnett has been calling the offense there at Peoria, Notre Dame for 10 years now. And double tight wing. Wait, let me think. Don't even think. Double tight wing left from the defense. So wing right for you. That's what I have seen. Yep. Wing left from the defense. And they'll sit in that one formation 90% of the game. They're a nightmare to defend, and Coach is here to chat a little bit with us about it. Coach, what has made you stick with it for this long? Because all of us wing T guys take crap for it.
Yeah. I mean, I just love the angles. I like the discipline of it. We've always kind of had, I would say, a smaller size kid. And I feel like, some people say spread them out when you got that, but I kind of feel like good angle blocking is kind of where I want to be with what we do. So I like the double tight because I feel like the defense has to identify what they're going to try to do to defend across all those gaps. So, I mean, if you look at it, when you get into double tight, and if you went in all the way into double wing, that's like 10 gaps to defend with 11 people. So, I feel like they have to show their hand, and then we can hit any of those gaps at any second pretty immediately. So that's kind of my theory on it. We figure out what gap you don't want to defend, and that's when we go after.
And they have been highly effective, absolutely shredding defenses now for 10 years. And, that, again, always near the top of the conference and always wreaking havoc. So Coach Garnett's going to talk today about wing T counters. And I kind of asked him, I said, you always seem to have a lot of counter plays. I remember I had to invent new ways to label counters when we would label our huddle against you guys, because I'm like, okay, it's counter, but it's not just counter. It's like this special counter. And then they would do this counter and this counter, and, just a nightmare to defend. So Coach, I'm going to shut up for a little bit. I'm going to just turn it over to you, let you chat with our little wing T community here about what you're up to. And then of course we'll do some Q&A after. And if anybody wants to reach out to you with more questions, they certainly can. So I'm going to make you a host of this, allow you to share if you want to. And once you've got that power, then it's all you. Let's see, make host. All right, Coach, it's all you. I'm going to mute my mic. Take it away.
So kind of our base GT look is kind of this, like you said, we like to sit in the wing right, and we run a lot of, basically everything's premised off of belly. And so, we run when I took over in 2012, they'd already been running with the regular evens to the right, odds to the left. And so I just kept it and, added in wing T without going with the full, terminology. So we run 34 belly and 35 belly. And then our counter, our main counter off of it is GT right, GT left. And we basically run that right off the belly frame, and we're going to hand the ball off over the top, which is a little different than I think a lot of teams do. And the wing will come over the top and he'll come through. Basically, our rules kind of are as such. And so we got our play side tight end. He's basically, his rules inside unless we have any sort of tag that comes with it. The play side tackle, first rules inside, and then a turn that we call double back to the backside linebacker. So we want him protecting that inside gap first, but if he has an opportunity to double, we'll let him allow that, but make sure that he's responsible for that gap in the process. Play side guard, same rule, inside, on, off. And then the center goes backside, and then his second rule will be on if there's really nothing backside to get to. And then we're going to pull kick just like pretty much anybody else would. And then we're going to pull and bring that tackle up through, and then we skin that backside tight end. And so we condense the belly steps just a little. This picture's got kind of drawn a little bit, but we usually do with our belly would be a step crossover, and then the next step we'd start getting downhill up into the hole. A lot of people would actually, it'd be belly. And then when we do it with the counter play, he's probably only taken a slide step and maybe one other, and then he's getting up because he's responsible for the first thing off this tackle's butt. And so we want him in there quick. The quarterback's going to roll out like his belly, and then he's going to hand it off over the top, and then he runs option off this backside. We still have the option back here. And every once in a while we have a call to where he might just keep that on a full naked, where we're actually going to run the entire GT play just like it would be, and he's just going to keep it if they're not respecting him on that backside. But most of the time we're going to hand that ball off right to, and it's a call, it's not a read. So that's kind of our base play. I mean, we tell this tight end we want this guy down blocked. I mean, we're washing this whole side is kind of the thought process to it. And then we're kick up through. And we ran this play like this for a while, where it was basically just a counter to belly, so we ran belly a lot. We'd just pound with belly, and then we come back with a counter. But as the years have kind of gone on, the play's been so good to us that this play might be the one that teams are looking to stop before belly now. And so belly's almost a counter to this counter. And as it's became more of a play to us, we've had to make kind of adjustments based on what teams are starting to do to it. So I went way too far out here. But so one year we had a really good running back. We've had a really good running back a few years, but we had Andy Shatted, and we basically created this look so that we could basically still get him the ball and run our base counter. And so this looks a little more like power out of this look. So basically fullback's going, quarterback's rotating out like he's going to hand power, and he just simply gets the ball and gets back up through. It hits quicker than the regular one. It's a really nice play if you got kind of a back that, you want to hit both directions with. So, we'd run him on the regular counter to this direction, buck sweep, run buck sweep to death, and then come back with this one where he still gets the ball and gives a little different look to it. So that was one wrinkle. We actually stole this from Joliet Catholic. I can't remember what the name of the back they had, but first time I'd see them do it against Montini, and we went and watched the game, and I was like, boy, I really like that. So we took that from them. And that's the base one. This is it going to the other way. It hits the only difference between going to the right and left in our offense is, and we can run it from double wing or from wing left if we do, but we tend to sit in this formation, like you said, more than not. And so the quarterback's got to drive the ball a little bit deeper because the back's already kind of at a very high depth. So he's going to take a good counter step away, and then he's going to come back through, and he's got to, it's a really nice play from this look because he's got a really good downhill look. I mean, it almost has like an I formation feel by the time he gets down into the hole. It hits faster. It's nice. But everything else is the same. Rules all stay the same. But then what we've had to kind of do, so against Peoria High, they tend to basically they basically put a man across every person on the formation, and it was starting to give us some trouble. And so one adjustment we've made is if we got too much stuff on one of these edges, we can make a call that basically takes the back rather than run the pitch fake away. He's just going to help seal that edge so that we can get up through. I got some clips on some of this later, but just a minor adjustment. I went to one of your clinics, Nate, and you had the sugar huddle going. And so we started doing that a few years back, and it's been really good to us to where we can run a play in and add just a slight tag to it and get exactly what we want out of it without having to put 100 different things on the wristband. That's not what I want. All right, so what we started to get now, a lot of teams are starting to try to post this tackle up, make a really good player here, and basically just set him in the hole, maybe even take him a little bit wider. And so then he's a bear to down block from this tight end and this tackle. And this play ends up hitting wider than I like it to. I mean, when this play hits, you want to watch this tackle into here. You know, you don't want to be running just way out here off tackle. You want to hit it in tight. So one adjustment we made is we'll take this tackle out to take care of this guy, take him out to the next guy, and we'll actually kick this tackle to kind of where he wants to be, and we'll hit it up real tight. And we've only just recently started to do that, so I don't have a whole lot of clips on it, but I do have one. And then basically same concept. A lot of teams have started to put like a hard 6 on us, and basically, you know, by rule, this tight end wants to go in and he should be taking this Mike backer by the way our rules are set up. And we tell him, you know, that's what you're going to do. And if this guy gets in your gap, you're going to take him in there. And, you know, for a while we would pound our heads into the ground, whether that would work or not. And then we basically added this call to where he's just going to arc up to the next level. If this guy is really a force defender, he would actually arc out to him. And then we're going to kick this guy right where he is and get up through. And so it hits where it should again, because if it's trying to hit outside of this guy, it causes a lot of problems for kind of what we're trying to do with it. I think, let me see if I got any other variations here. Yeah, I think this is just the kind of that 4-3 look, kind of how we want to block it, where this guy should be heading to Mike. We're going to try to kick here and get up through. But if he's giving us a lot of trouble, we'll arc, hopefully get him to widen a little with us, and we'll kick him. Most of the time we have some pretty good guards here, so they're pretty good at kicking pretty large guys. I don't know if you got any questions about any of that. I got some clips of it that I was going to run through. I kind of just grabbed an assortment of them, so some are good, some are bad, and we'll kind of see where they all end up.
Yeah, go ahead and just show your clips, and then I'll ask some Q&A afterwards.
Just hard nose down, you know, it's just you're down, and we're going to pull that play side guard and kick.
And you may want to full screen that if you can.
Oh yeah, we do that. And this is, you know, his belly against that loaded box, you know, even with all gaps covered, you know, I feel like the rules and everything still give you enough to be able to run belly. He had to make one guy miss though. And then we actually probably like belly to the left as much as anything, because we like the looks of that downhill back here coming right up in. You can locate that Mike backer really easily. You can see if this fullback cuts this back here, he's going to score, but he likes to go wide. Oh, and then I didn't go over this. This is basically it's like a naked pass that we run off of the Redskin. I didn't get a chance to draw it up. So basically we're going to pull Redskin blocking. Everything's going to be Redskin except for we're going to take the back underneath. And then you got full back and this back that would be coming out here anyway. Other than that, it's kind of a naked pass. But if you got a lot of people reading guards and following them all the way across field, it's a good play for you. So here's a Redskin left, or we call it GT left. We probably should get rid of the Redskin term, but it's back from the classic days of when the Redskins kind of did this play. So this is that extra block that we're, rather than take this guy in motion on our counter, since they've got everything overloaded, we're going to take him out to here and make that adjustment to make sure we get this edge all set. So hit a little wider than you'd like, but still effective. I hear the slight variation. We jump into the gun here. Don't do a lot of this, but it's in our playbook if possible. Sometimes it's nice to just give a quick look of something different. The back here gets a little bit too wide. He needs to try to get into the hole a little earlier into this. He should have been up in there before this guy could have even got a hand on him. All right, here's one going to the other side. But you can kind of see that with the back at this deeper level, quarterback's got to drive it a little deeper to him, and it gives him a nice downhill angle at the play.
And coach, because it's Zoom, the film doesn't come through real well.
Ah, shoot.
So just give you a warning there. And maybe if somebody wants to reach out to you, maybe you could share it with them. But
yeah,
it might just be a little more beneficial to kind of like show the formation, draw something up, let it run one time, because it just doesn't come through real well. Just a FYI.
Gotcha. All right, let me see if there was, I was going to see if I had a couple of those. I think it was against what I pulled in earlier today. So this is with that out call that we went over. I don't know if we'll be able to see it or not, but this is basically the tackle was giving us a little bit of trouble. Now it's loading slow too. See if it goes.
It's okay. I can cut this load time out.
So basically this is where we take that tackle and the tight end out, and then we're gonna, I mean, it's almost gonna hit like trap. Let's get it from, see if you can see it from this angle. But basically we're gonna take him down, but these guys out, kick here, and then it just hits that much tighter. And so if team's kind of getting used to overflowing your play, all of a sudden you hit it up in there, it just hits up snug. I think would have been Danville would have been where we're going to arc that guy. Let's get to. So this is, I think it was starting to get late in the Danville game. Let me see if this is the one. Yeah, so if you look, this guy had been giving us a lot of trouble, and basically this is the first play that we end up arcing him. And again, the back's a little slow getting through there, but it's still effective. And then, like I said, we hadn't been able to get probably any yardage on this play early, and then now we're hitting it just that one hole tighter, and good things are happening. I guess that the video is not really showing real well. I don't know if there's much else to, let me see. Maybe there's a good belly in this one, but part of the problem with Huddle is they don't give you enough storage to to get, so I've got some plays that would have been really good for a clinic on here, and then you got to basically delete them and start fresh after a couple seasons. So I've only got 2 years of film to kind of pick through for some of these. But I mean, kind of you're going to run this offense. I think the key to it is really you got to work all the exchanges, because you can't afford fumbles, and you got to have just great ball fakes. And trying to get kids to do ball fakes is probably one of the hardest things in football. So one of the things that we came up with probably in 2013 was we started doing the helmet stickers. And if there was bad fakes, for multiple plays during a series, I give out a helmet sticker for every touchdown scored. You don't get a sticker. And I didn't think that would be a big deal, but you should see, the fakes the next week after you had a kid not get stickers 1 week. So it's kind of a funny way of getting it done, but it really does help your productivity when it comes to getting good ball fakes. I mean, they love those stickers. I guess that's all I've got. I don't know if you got any questions or.
Yeah, I got a handful of questions. Go ahead and stop
Share.
Stop the share. Okay, and I'm gonna make it so that my view comes back up. Okay, guys, reach out to Coach Garnett to get some of this film if he's willing to share. Would you be willing to share if anybody reaches out, any of our wing T guys?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. We usually don't share the end zone copy, but definitely would share any of the sideline, and depending on who it is, we'd probably share the end zone as well.
Yeah. If we got a lot of guys around the country, the wing T guys, reach out. I'm telling you, these guys are unbelievable. And again, just sitting in that double tight wing right and being consistent. I got a handful of questions here. First of all, something that would be hard to see on the film, at least through Zoom, because Zoom film is so choppy. You guys get off of the ball at it's really impressive. How are you able, how do you put that priority and emphasis on the urgency your kids seem to consistently get off the ball with?
Yeah, I mean, we basically, when I first started coaching, the offensive coordinator at the time was Jim Donahue, and he became our offensive line coach when I took over, and he put extreme emphasis on get off. Basically, he'd scream, yell. I mean, he's just all over. And we luckily had he's a Hall of Fame coach. He coached with us, I think, until 2017. And then now he's actually got a grandson on the team. He's been watching still. And so our new line coach, Coach Winkler, has kind of taken over that tradition, is just all over those guys. I mean, I can't say much more than that. We one of the things that we do that's kind of old school, and a lot of people would argue, but we still throw our arms to try to get off the ball low. So it's kind of, you go to a lot of zone teaching. The first thing to do is get your hands out onto a person. We're gonna throw our arms, but we also are off the ball, that as far back as we can get. So by the time our arms get back up, we should be plenty good to get into contact.
So when you say throw your arms, you're like, first thing is arms back.
Yep. Arms back.
So arms back. And then when you guys come forward, are you like, are you guys a shoulder team or hands on?
We've done it both ways, I guess. Right now, we kind of go with what we call a double punch. And so they're basically throwing both arms forward, looking to punch through the guy is kind of what our mentality is.
Okay.
When I first started, we did more of the shoulder blocking, which I like that too, honestly. I could be convinced either way. It's kind of, you got a Hall of Fame coach like Jim Donahue. He liked the double punch, and we went double punch.
Makes sense, man. So how many times a game are you calling counter on average?
I'd have to go look through it, but I mean, I bet you we call it 12 to 15 times in a game would be my
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
I
Which is
mean,
awesome.
in our regular, which buck sweeps already counters. So I mean, that's a whole nother set of counters that we're probably calling in a game. So I mean, almost everything we do has probably got some counter element to it,
true.
other than power, right? Your power is power.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I kind of was inspired by. I don't know if you're like this, but for me, anytime I get another wing T team on my schedule, and right, and you turn it on the film and you're like preparing for them, and you're supposed to be like watching and preparing to defend them, but I always catch myself trying to like learn from them. And I'm like, every time we turn on the film to scout you guys and like trying to prepare to defend you, I'm really just catching myself going, well, what are they doing? I like that. That can make us better on our offense. And I kind of catch myself trying to steal from you. And one of the things I stole from you is me telling myself, listen, they're good with this counter. They're just that GT blocking. They're good with this and they run it a lot. And it would just inspired me. I'm going, man, listen, we're really good with our counter play. And I'm like, we have to run it more. And I kind of stole that from you guys.
Yeah. I mean, we stole it. I would say we probably stole it from Derek Leonard, over at Rochester. That's about all they run. If you really get down to their offense, they run counter and they've got everything kind of comes off a counter. And so, I mean, if you can run a whole thing like that, us running it 12 times is hardly a big deal.
Yeah, you're true.
I haven't watched any Rochester in recent years, but probably, at least back when I was following them a little closer, they were running pretty much all counter, maybe mixing in a little bit of power.
Now, Coach, being so good at counter, how do you leave out the mother of all counters, counter crisscross?
We haven't fully left it out, but we definitely have not ran it as much as probably should. So we have it in our playbook, but it just has, it depends on the backs that we have. So
Makes you nervous?
It does. It makes me nervous. I'm all about having ball control. If I can get 4 yards on a play, I'm pretty happy. We'll go and work it down. Feel like some coaches would see 4 yards as a failure. I like it. If I can get 4, I'll go get 4 on the next one and we'll keep going. Where if the ball comes out on the ground, I can't get 4 the next play.
Do you guys ever run like GY, pull guard tight end, or tackle tight end? Or do you ever change it up, or is it always GT?
Yeah, we have a tackle tight end pull that we do. And that's actually how we'll do our counter crisscross usually too, is we'll actually pull tackle tight end with it. We run that. We actually, and I'm trying to think the name of the team that we took it from. But they're down by the St. Louis area. I think they might be in Missouri, but they would run it with a kind of a unique handoff where it would almost look like power coming from the one, and the quarterback would reach out and then he'd step past that back and underneath hand it off to the next one coming through. And that's how we'd run that. I'd have to see if I could find you some footage of it. We haven't done a whole lot of it. It's been some years, but usually like if we got a team that's good, everything for us is kind of a buildup. So as you go through the season, if you got the basics, we can now move on to the more advanced. And so that handoff was a little more advanced for us. It looks a lot more like, I don't know if you've ever seen our counter out of the wishbone, but it looks a little like that.
Yeah.
To where we would put the ball basically into the belly of the one back, and then we carry it through, and the other back would come up underneath through on the other side. I'd have to see, like I said, that's the thing that stinks about huddle. Our standard splits are 2-2-3, but obviously they're going to vary. So 2 foot, 2 foot. Yeah. But they'll vary based on the play and somewhat based on the kid too. Like there's just some times where if a kid's not able to get down to the guy in front of him, we got to cut him down a little bit.
Yeah.
So absolutely. We kind of, if you watch the kids, like you got to kind of get on them, because they will self start cranking down their splits, maybe not as much as you want them to be. And you'd be like, why is your splits foot to foot now all of a sudden? And it's because, they didn't feel comfortable, especially like when we play Peoria High, with having all those guys across the board, like the splits tend to start shrinking as the game goes on. And
Mhm.
that's not by design. It's by, I'm not sure what causes it. Mental stuff.
Coach, what position on the offense do you coach?
It depends on the year, I guess. So I started out doing running backs, and I did that probably for the first 3 or 4 years. And then I went to, I'm trying to think, maybe even the first 5, but when Coach Donahue left that first year, I went to the offensive line and I coached the offensive line for a couple of years. And then we got Coach Winkler. And so now I kind of float between. So I'll basically do line on one day, I'll do backs on another. But I mean, we got good coaches now kind of across. Our staff has been together now for quite a little while. So we managed to get Coach Kitterman back. He went to Morton for a few years, but he does our quarterbacks, and then Coach Armstrong does our running backs, and then Coach Winkler does our line. And so I can kind of just go where we need that day is kind of what I've been doing now for the last 2 years. So it's kind of a
Here's
nice place to be where you don't have to
a little
be.
personal question for me. I've struggled to have success with my lower levels running our stuff. I feel like we've had a lot of success running it at the varsity level, but for some reason, my lower levels are really struggling to move the ball in our stuff. And I sit here and I watch teams that I think we're fairly evenly matched with. They go 2-by-2 spread and they're not hardly doing anything, but they're able to move the ball. And here we are trying to run our wing team. We struggle. How you guys always look good at your lower levels. Give me some pointers, man. What would be some things that come to mind? Like, what do you do with the lower levels to make sure they can be successful?
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning, I up until, and really I don't do a ton with defense even to this day. And so basically there's times where I'll go down to the lower levels, like at the, if they need help with something, and I'll kind of work with them. But some ways it's just having really good coaches down at the lower levels. And so, I mean, we ended up having Coach Rothan, I think he was down at our lower levels for close to 30 years. And so he's been down there basically teaching the right basics from the freshman year on. And so now he's actually with us at the varsity. He's the guy that's in the box with me, telling me kind of what he sees. And so he's kind of like my right-hand man in the box. But now his son came and he's been coaching with us, who's a kid that we had on the squad, back in the 2014 semifinal run. And so he knows exactly kind of what, he's been around football his whole life. And so he's been really good to put through and kind of get those basics taught. So I really feel like you almost have to teach your coaches as much as anything. And then, and then anytime you see anything, you got to kind of, me and the head coach will watch through some of the lower level film at times too, and kind of look and say, okay, this doesn't look quite like what we think it should be, and kind of go and make an adjustment, just, try not to step on anybody's toes or anything, but, make sure that things are being ran the way they should be. So, I mean, that's the best thing. I mean, for one, have a coach that's been there for 30 years. That's that's one of them. And then, I mean, I feel like it takes a lot to get somebody that kind of think the same way as you do. And so that's the next thing, is to really try to get coaches that think like you think to some extent, which is easier said than done sometimes. So, I mean, we've had our struggles at the lower levels at times, honestly. I mean, we had one year where, and we, at the time, I didn't have time to work with anything, and they were a little undersized, but they kind of went like full spread. And I honestly think it cost us, because, this year that was that team, and, we didn't have a quarterback that had ran that system in that lower level. And so now you're trying to, teach things that should have been already taught, I guess. So really that lower level, it really does build to where I don't have to go through so many of the steps when they get to varsity. And so this year was that class, and they were super talented, but then you get like little tiny things that I feel like should have been already there, were kind of lacking in that kind of teaching. So I do feel like, even though it might not be the most effective thing, I still think, they got to kind of grind in and run that wing tee if we're going to run at the varsity level. And sometimes that's not a thing they're happy about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Coach, thanks so much for your insight, for sharing with us, guys. Reach out to Coach Garnett. How can they find you on Twitter?
I'd have to look. I'm not on Twitter enough, but let me see here.
I'll get it for you. It's at Garnett M34, and I'll try to throw it up on the screen there for everybody. At Garnett M34. Look them up. Is there a better way to get a hold of you? Is there an email you'd want to share?
Yeah, my email is Garnett M34. There's no spaces in that though, at gmail.com. And so I follow that pretty closely, and I do follow the Twitter. I haven't been on it as much. Like, probably need to get my alerts set up better, because we kind of missed linking up one time, because I think you sent me a message and I completely missed it.
Yeah. All right, fellas. Well, look up Coach Garnett, doing an incredible job at Peoria, Notre Dame. Coach, congrats on another great season this year, and best of luck to you guys as you move forward. Any closing thoughts?
No, I love the wing tee, and I hope to see more guys kind of dig in and do it, because I mean it really is a great offense.
No doubt about that. Yeah. Well, you're speaking to a bunch of believers, so we appreciate your time, Coach. Best of luck to you.
All right, thanks, Coach.